Hey everybody, it's Adam coming at you with your Saturday security tip, and I'm kind of amused because I wanted to talk to you about looking both ways before you cross the street, and thought it was going to be quick and simple, but there's more to it than that. So let's get right into it. When your parents told you look both ways before you cross the street, there was actually a lot of good information in there that's still applicable today. So when they said look, there was an understood you there. They're talking to you, and they're saying, hey, it's your responsibility to make sure you're safe. Don't go wandering out into the street without making sure that you've looked over here and you've looked over there. You've made sure it's safe before you do so. It's your responsibility. So the first thing you can get out of that is take personal responsibility for your safety and security. And then as we think about that word look, we need to process what we're looking at. We need to think about it. And so it doesn't do a kid any good for them to walk up to the street, look mindlessly to the left and right, and then walk right out in front of a Mack truck and get injured. So if we do that, it's just security theater. So sometimes you'll see this at the range. People are shooting, they get done shooting, they look to the left and right real quick, and they put their gun in their holster, and they have no idea why they're doing that, and they're not thinking. Why they're supposed to do that is to reholster reluctantly, to make sure the emergency is over. So they're supposed to take their eyes off the immediate threat, make sure that's over, and look around, make sure there's nothing else going on there, and process all that information. And then, once they've processed it and thought about it, to reholster their weapon because they've made sure that they don't need it anymore. But what you get is guys looking to the left and to the right real quick and sticking their gun back in their holster. They have no idea what they're looking at. There could be an axe murderer standing over their shoulder ready to chop their head off, and they would look right at him and put their gun back in the holster. That's just security theater. It's not helping anybody. So we need to actually think about what we're looking at. And then your parents said look both ways before you cross the street. So if I look to the left, there's an immediate danger, there's an immediate risk. If I look to the right, there's another one coming in the immediate future, but it's a little bit further off. So there's different timelines and different directions involved there, and we need to be aware of all of it. And that's great advice for a parent to give to their kid. But an experienced and trained security professional will realize there's other ways to look also. So we can look up and realize, hey, the sun is directly in the eyes of the traffic coming from that way. They're going to be less likely to see me. I need to give them more time before walking out in front of the traffic there. I can look down and realize, hey, there's ice on the road. They're not going to be able to stop as well. I need a bigger gap before it's safe to cross. Or I can even look behind me and see the phone zombie coming up who's not even looking at the traffic, and I can say, hold on, buddy, it's not safe for you to cross the street yet. So there's more ways to look than just left or right. But they said look both ways before you cross the street. We need to be aware of all the risks in the environment. And then they said look both ways before you cross the street. So that before is important. We don't just rush into dangerous environments. We make sure they're safe before we get to them. But it also teaches us that even the best intel has an expiration date. So if your parents didn't tell you go out at 11 o'clock and make sure the street's safe because at 12 o'clock you want to cross, that wouldn't do you any good, because it may have been safe at 11 o'clock, but at 12 o'clock it could be an entirely different situation, and you could walk out without looking based upon the old information and get hurt. So you need to continually reevaluate and reassess. You might have been given, somebody might have come to your home and said, okay, here's the vulnerabilities in your home, here's a plan in case something goes wrong, and it may be a year, that might have been a year ago. Well, your situation's totally changed, could be, and that plan could be irrelevant. You might have different people in your house, they might have different capabilities, they might be different ages, your neighborhood might have changed. So that year-old analysis of your home might not be effective right now. It might be time to reevaluate, reassess. So they said look both ways before you cross the street. Let's talk about the street for a minute. So it's a pretty well regulated environment. The roads have to be safe, the drivers have to be trained and licensed, they're not supposed to be drunk. So it should be a relatively safe thing. So even if I were to walk up to this street right now and not look, somebody's probably going to see me and hit their brakes or steer, and probably not going to hit me. But just we don't plan based upon the 99% of the time where everything's going to go right. We plan and prepare based upon the 1% of the time where things might not go so well. The street is a dynamic environment that we can master, and if we take reasonable precautions, and that teaches us valuable things in other aspects of our lives. Just take a reasonable precaution and employ it all the time. So you have a fire extinguisher in your house that's probably just collecting dust, and that's probably all it's going to do today. But just in case something goes wrong, you have that there. You have a spare tire in your trunk, not because you're planning on having a flat today. You're probably going to get to where you're going, and the spare tire is just going to go along for the ride. But you have it there just in case, that small percentage of the time where something might go wrong. And that's what the street teaches us. And we do all that so we can cross the street, so we can get to the other side, so we can go about our lives and be productive and be happy. We just need to learn how to mitigate the risk of crossing the street. So because we take some reasonable precautions, we can get to the other side, we can enjoy life, and that works out pretty good for us. So you probably didn't realize how much your parents taught you about security when they said those 7 words, but I hope you have a greater appreciation for it now. And give me some feedback. Was that good for you? Was it too long? Is there some other topic that you'd rather hear about next week? Let me know in the comments, and we'll see you here next week. Thanks.